Okay. All right, 326, Dave Elswick Show. We've got news coming up at the bottom of the hour. Mike Huckabee at 3:35 with his 5-minute little dissertation that he'll have for us. But right now, Karen Lamoreaux with us, and she's talking about Common Core. And where did you want to go to on this now?
Since Laurie Lee was asking for the specific standard that the viral video was referring to in the use of drawing diagrams, it is 4th grade CCSS math content 4.0A.A.2, multiply or divide to solve word problems involving I can't even say that word. Multiplicative comparison. Example, by using drawings and equations with a symbol for the unknown number. And it goes on from there. And so what we as parents are seeing coming home all over the country are those drawings of circles and boxes and hash marks and things like that. And you know, we can argue the curriculum thing all day. The bottom line is that they used a back door to drive.
I just had
curriculum.
Somebody that I know, a personal friend, that just sent me an email, says, Dave, ask why my son came home and drew 36 circles
there it is.
and 25 circles on a page, then added all the circles to figure out, 6 times 6 plus 5 times 5 equals?
That's this math standard. That's what it is. And what's not written in the standard, but what the teachers are being trained to do is to mark it wrong, even if it's right, because they didn't use the proper method. So that's the standard that we're pointing to there that we take issue with. And we're very frustrated because this is coming from the top down. We cannot change the wording in this standard. We have no local control over this problem. Another issue, so far we've only adopted the math and the ELA. ELA is language. And I've just got a little piece here I'd like to read about one of the issues we take with the ELA standards. They call for 50% to 70% use of informational texts. Informational texts are not necessarily credible sources. Most of these are media spin where the content leads, one side or the other. Established literature, however, has stood the test of time in education around the world because it teaches students how to think, not what to think. A study was done by the Institute of Educational Sciences National Center for Education Statistics in 2008 that supports this. So this is one of our own studies here. It was called The Reading Literacy of 4th Grade Students in International Contexts. It found that students who read stories or novels score 4% higher than the international average, and those who read informational texts scored 2% lower than international standards. So when the proponents of Common Core say that these standards have been internationally benchmarked, I have yet to see that documentation. I keep hearing that they're rigorous. I keep hearing that they're college ready. I keep hearing that, preparing our children for a global economy, but I have yet to hear how the standards do that. Here we have an example of an international benchmark that's not being met.
All right, we got to take a break.
FM.
Back with you, Dave Elswick Show, KARN. Karen Lamoreaux is with us. She's spoken about, am I right? Am I correct?
Yes, okay. You nailed it.
I
nice
want to make
job,
sure
Dave.
that I was correct on that. I'm not 100% on that part in my show sometimes.
No.
Laurie Lee knows that. I've even screwed up her name, and that's pretty simple. Laurie Lee's here.
You're saying I'm simple?
No, I'm not saying that you're simple. I'm saying your name is pretty easy to say.
Saying. You're simple.
And then Nicholas Horton is here. David Crow is here. And we're talking about Common Core. Karen, absolutely against it. Laurie Lee likes it. Kind of interesting to have two sides like this discussing it on the air. So I let you talk going into the break. I'm going to let Laurie Lee talk here for the next few minutes. Go.
Well, one of the things that's imperative to know, and again I reiterate, there is no curriculum tied to Common Core. In the state of Arkansas, each district is allowed to choose the curriculum that it thinks fits best. Case in point, in DeQueen, Arkansas, in their school district, they are having phenomenal results with meeting Common Core standards. Now, to her point about the circles and all of that, she was specifically talking about a standard that calls for in the 4th grade, which is where geometry is introduced. So there's a thing that says in their introduction, students describe, analyze, compare, and classify two-dimensional shapes. Through building, drawing, and analyzing two-dimensional shapes, students deepen their understanding of properties of two-dimensional objects and use them to solve problems involving symmetry. Now, I would say as a parent, and I have 2 daughters, that I would like my children not to just rotely memorize things. I would actually like them to know how to get to those answers, to feel, to have tactical touch, to have, we don't live in an industrial world anymore. We live in a world that is full of computers. And, she talked about, and David said in the break, that he was helping one of his grandkids with their math and he didn't get it. Well, I understand that. I'm not saying that curriculum is right or wrong, but you know what I do when my iPhone's broke? I hand it to one of my kids. You know what you do when you want a computer to work? You give it to one of your kids. Things are different.
Well,
kids
I understand
today learn
that,
differently.
2 times 2 will always be 4.
And it is
you need
4.
to learn that rotely.
Okay, but do you know how you got there? Do you know why 2 times 2
It doesn't
is 4?
matter.
It does matter.
No, because it is a verifiable fact that we've always known.
Okay, well, I understand that. But it matters to me, for my children, to be able to say 2 times 2 is 4 because when you take 2 items and you multiply it times these 2 items, you have 4 items there. That's a basic, that's helping kids think out of the box and know how to think instead of being their thinking done for them. And instead of them rotely memorizing and not knowing why they know that. And this was one of the arguments.
Have you taken algebra?
Yes.
Okay. All it is rotely. All that is, and I've taken calculus. All that is nothing but rotely memorizing formulas.
Well, but wouldn't it be nice if you understood those formulas? Wouldn't it be nice?
It doesn't matter to me to understand
it. Doesn't matter to
I
you.
just know
but
that
what if
they
your
work.
kid's going to be a physicist? What if your kid's going to be a brain surgeon? Would you like to know that they know how that got there? I mean, I understand. I'm not arguing with you. If you don't want to know, I don't care if you want to know or not. But what about the millions of students that need to know because their careers will insist that they know?
I don't see why it's necessary to know something that is a verifiable fact. I mean, it's been proven. It's been proven over the millennium.
Okay, right? I want to know all kinds of things that are verifiable facts. The other thing is that she said something about it's a federal mandate. This was a governor's association. This has nothing to do with the federal government. This was the governor's association. I'm sorry? I didn't hear what you said. Okay, it has nothing to do with the federal government. This was handed down by the Governor's Association, and the state of Arkansas chose to adopt this. It wasn't mandated. We weren't given any money. There's a misnomer out there about that. We were not given any money. Arkansas did not really.
We were too given money.
No,
we were given over $300 million
show me
in
specifically,
federal money. I will.
Show me specifically where the Race to the Top's funds were tied to that.
Oh, don't play games with me, Laurie. We didn't get Race to the Top. We did
not get Race to the Top.
That's what she just said.
That's what I said. We did not get any of the
contract right here.
We did not get any of the Race to the Top money.
That's right. We got stimulus money instead.
That stimulus money was not tied to Common Core.
Yes, it was. It was specifically
No, it wasn't. A matter of fact, that came before Common Core. I did the research on that. David, you and I were doing research on that money and the fact that they were spending millions of dollars on a key code for a website that was before Common Core was even implemented.
Here it is. Application for initial funding under the State Fiscal Stabilization Fund Program.
What year is that?
Here it is right here, 2009, the year before.
What year was Common Core?
Yeah, Common Core was adopted in 2010.
So this money came before.
No, this is the approval to get the money.
Where does it say in there about Common Core? Does it say somewhere in there, if you adopt Common Core, you get this money? You know why Arkansas got that money? They got that money because we get more money than any other state because we're a welfare state. Has no tie to Common Core. Where specifically?
That's not ESEA money.
Okay, where specifically?
It says here, Section 3.1, the state will enhance the quality of academic assessments it administers. So it wasn't for the Common Core standards. It was for the PARC Consortium, which is the testing arm of Common Core.
No, where does it say that specifically in there that it's for PARC or Common Core? It doesn't say. We were getting that money regardless. That stimulus money was given to every state that was a poor state. Those where those funds come from. Please tell me, please let me inform you that I actually know what I'm talking about. I have sat at the field. I was anti-Common Core because I believed everything Glenn Beck said. I believed what he said when he said it was this. I said it was this. And you know what? I was astonished. But then I actually went to the people that have developed this and said, what is going on here? You're saying this is a federalization. And they're like, Laurie, no. I've talked to the people in Florida. I've gone to the people I've actually traveled to Indianapolis. So I know what I'm talking about.
Indiana has since renounced the Common Core standards.
Because of people that don't understand what it is, and they will be sorry that they did that. Because Arkansas children deserve a right to compete in the market. They deserve to have a standard that is deserving of their talents. And we're 50th in education, or 48th, or at best 35th if you go by, I don't know what survey that was, but at some survey we're 35th. But don't you want our kids to be able to live up to the expectation that they're capable of having?
Well, I have no problem. My whole thing is
that's all this does.
How does Common Core do that? That's what I want to know.
It raises the standards. It's what it is. It's a standard. Hence the name Common Core Standards.
But
it raises the standards.
Should it not be the parents and the state that determines what their standards are going to be?
I absolutely agree. And you know what? The parents play a vital role in this. Unfortunately, we don't have enough engaged parents on a local level. I've traveled this state how many times, Dave, trying to get parents involved in education issues, saying you need to take control locally. Make sure that the curriculum that's being taught at your school reflects the community that you live in, so that your children get an education that is indicative of what you do.
I love that you do those things. My question is if you accept Common Core from centralized government command in Washington, D.C.
It wasn't. It wasn't. You know? There was no centralized government command. This is not a federal program. This was developed through state governors.
Okay, state governors put together a program, and they said, "This is what this is what the results are that you're shooting for your kids in every state." I don't buy that.
No. They went to each state and they said, "Look, here's a set of standards. Why don't we go to these?" And when somebody lives in Texas and they have a child in the 3rd grade and they move, Texas is a bad example because they're not a Common Core state. I do Texas because I have family there. Kansas, okay? If your child lives in Kansas in the 3rd grade and you move, wouldn't it be nice that they have congruent education in the 3rd grade in Arkansas?
Not necessarily, because maybe Arkansas wants to have higher standards than what Kansas has.
And you can have higher standards. You can supersede these standards. Okay?
I want to say something, Dave, if we have time.
Yeah.
I'm not an expert on Common Core, and I haven't studied this for 15 years or anything like that. But I did read an article this morning from the Wall Street Journal, and this was written by Sandra Stotsky, and she's an expert. She actually sat on the Common Core Validation Committee, and she's a professor at the University of Arkansas. And this was in the Wall Street Journal last week. And what she writes about here is that, to Laurie's point about raising the standards, in some states it actually lowers the standards because Common Core actually doesn't require pre-cal and trigonometry. Mm-hmm. And in states like Massachusetts and California, before Common Core, they did require that as part of high school education.
When I was going to school there, they required those two.
It also lowers the reading requirement and the instructional time by 50% in some places. So, I mean, it changes the standards, yes, but I mean, I don't think you can say it raises the standards in every state because, as you said, some states have higher standards.
And to the Stotsky point, do you know that she is not against Common Core standards? She's only against this Common Core standard. She believes in a Common Core standards. She is the one that actually wrote the Common Core standards for that state of Massachusetts. She wants her standards used as the Common Core standards across the state. There's nobody that's even on the other side of this issue. The Heartland Institute, the Heritage Institute, the Friedman Institute, that will tell you that they believe it's because of curriculum. They have their different reasons why they're against Common Core. Those are articulated all over the web. I'll be glad to share those in another time when we have more. But no national organization that is educationally connected, Friedman, Heartland, Heritage, believe that Common Core are the things that Ms. Lamoreaux alludes to, having to do with the destruction of curriculum and localization of kids. None of that is accurate.
All right.
It's not accurate.
Got to get a break in. We'll come back, and we'll finish up here on the Dave Elswick Show. All right, we got traffic coming up here in about a minute and a half on the Dave Elswick Show. Next hour, when we come back, I read earlier the letter from Mark Darr, and we will talk about that. Did you get a hold of Jegley by any chance, Scott? Okay, we've left a message. Just want to hear where he's at. Is he going to, press against Darr or not? Because if he doesn't press against him, then it seems to me that Mark Darr is fine as far as I'm concerned if he wants to sit in the lieutenant governor's chair. It doesn't bother me at all. Karen, I want to thank you for coming in today.
Thank you
and
for
giving us
having
time.
me.
We'll get you back on in the near future. Laurie Lee, we'll get you back on in the future, and we'll just be you and me, and we'll talk.
Am I uninvited on
Can I
Tuesday
come back?
now?
No,
Can I come
not
back?
at all. And
You
Nicholas, you just
Thank
start it, and we won't cut you out
I
yet.
appreciate it.
All right, and of course, David Crow. He's been sitting over in the corner sucking his thumb. But the Dave Elswick Show here on KARN.
Poor guy.
So it's been a great show today. Never say that we never give everybody the right to talk about an issue. We always do.